Question 2 involves statistics from the large data set, and in particular comparison of the daily air temperature compared with the pressure to establish whether there is a correlation between the two of them. We've got Fred and Nadine comparing notes. First of all, Fred randomly selects a month from the data set and draws the scatter diagram of the results. And here they are. And in part A, we've been asked to describe the correlation that he's found. Well, given that it looks like a constellation in the sky, I would suggest that there is no correlation between the daily air temperature and the daily mean pressure for this particular month. So let's have a look at part B. Now, Nadine, rather than choosing a month, has chosen a whole year. So we've got 365, I assume, results here, which have been plotted. And you can see that there is a general falling as the pressure goes up, the mean air temperature goes down. We've got to be slightly wary of this word in context. I think you can see that there is a general negative correlation between the results, but that negative correlation has to be explained with the axes in mind. In other words, it's not good enough just to write there is negative correlation. You've got to put that negative correlation on the axes provided. And there's the answer to part B. There is an observable negative correlation in that as the daily mean pressure goes up further along this axis this way, the daily mean temperature is recorded lower, goes down. And that will be the answer to part B. Part C now tests your knowledge of the large data set and the notes that are supplied with it, in that it's asking you to state a value for P, in other words, this axis down here, to be used to interpret the correlation, sort of asking you what is pressure measured as. Well, it used to be measured in millibars, but the SI unit for millibars is a hectopascal. And here is an extract from the accompanying notes for the large data set, which states what I've just said is that 1 hectopascal equals 1 millibar. And these results will dance either side of an atmosphere, which is 1,000 millibars, 1 bar. So the scale should be based around 1,000 hectopascals. Part D also tests your knowledge of the large data set, and we've been asked to explain why it's not meaningful to look for a linear relationship between the daily mean wind speed, having been quoted using the Beaufort scale, which is a scale from 0 to 12, depending on the fierceness of the wind, and the daily mean air temperature. Well, because the wind speed's been converted to this scale from 0 to 12, this is really a qualitative assessment of the wind, not quantitative. So it would be not meaningful to look for any sort of relationship between the wind speed, Beaufort conversion, and the daily mean air temperature. So all you've got to do is put that into words, and that will gain you the 1 mark available here.